Here on the Colour of Country Life Flow FM, great to be speaking with the Shadow Assistant Minister for Regional Development, but also the member for Mallee, Anne Webster. How are you, Anne?
Good morning, Ricky. How are you?
Good, thanks. I hope you're all energised after meeting with your National Party colleagues in Canberra for your national conference over the weekend.
Well, I won't whoop because it's a little bit loud on the radio, but yeah, no, it's great to catch up with everyone. Of course, Corporate Observers Day is a time where we get to speed date our corporate sponsors and supporters, and that's a great day actually, just to hear what's going on in mining, agriculture, you name it, retail, hotels. And of course, the broad issues are replicated in each sector. So workforce is just a massive, massive issue, as we know in the region.
Yeah, we'll talk about the workforce needs in a minute. It's interesting, that speed dating concept. So you meet with your party supporters or backers, get a bit of two-way conversation about what they're seeing out there on the land, but also They get to hear what you're doing for them in Parliament as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really important conversation to have. We meet, obviously, throughout the year with constituents throughout the electorate. It's a massive task just trying to get people to come out and say g'day, or go to where they are and say hello and hear what their issues are. But to hear what industry is struggling with, where they're going well, where their next investments are, particularly if it's in Mallee, I've got all ears. And so it's just a really important day.
Now, I'm going to get to those workforce needs, but there was some reporting about Nationals Federal President Kay Hull saying the party needs to reset and embrace women and remain the nation's most diverse political organisation. I don't know if that's a fair paraphrase of what she told the conference, but is she right?
Look, I think a diverse party is incredibly important. And I think, going back over our prime ministers, I think John Howard really epitomises that broad church thinking of the coalition, the embracing of both sides. There was an excellent article in The Australian about this last week, and that we need to be able to hold hands with people of different views and to be able to not necessarily sing Kumbaya, but hear them, hear the voices. And women are 50% of our vote. As a woman in politics, I am extremely interested in what women are thinking. And what I hear back from my electorate are concerns around healthcare and the lack of doctors, the lack of aged care workers, the lack of education, the concern about the way education is going and the kinds of ideologies that are permeating our education system, and that basics need to be the basis of education, reading, writing, arithmetic, basically.
Now, when you mention those sort of job shortages in some sectors really being felt across the board in regional Australia, have we lent too hard on bringing in skilled workers from overseas and let our young people, our brain drain happen from regional areas? Should we have been investing in young people to stay in our communities?
Look, I would argue that the coalition's actually been very focused on that. And the reason that we have is because we know, research shows us, that 60% of young people who remain in their region and are able to study and complete their degrees in their region, or whatever training it is, apprenticeship, traineeship, that they're likely to stay. And so the investment in local universities, TAFEs, apprenticeships and traineeships, the coalition absolutely was doing. I, of course, wanted to see more, and one of the election promises that, as you know, and your listeners would know, I've been fighting for, is the funding for La Trobe University to be able to introduce an undergrad course for science, technology, engineering and maths, and particularly focused on biomed. And I'm having discussions with industry now as well as La Trobe, because, of course, I can't guarantee that the government is going to follow that through and fund it. My hope is that they will, because studying in our regions is critical for our regions to thrive and to move forward. So I am very passionate and very focused on this.
Now, your National Party leader, David Littleproud, told the conference, I understand, about ensuring that we get enough workers to regions by fast-tracking permanent residency for them to incentivise migrants to come to regional Australia. Are we going to make any progress on that front, or indeed the ag visa?
Look, I am waiting with bated breath to hear what Labor actually come out with. I know we've got the Jobs and Skills Summit in September, which Peter Dutton has said he won't go to, and Dave Littleproud, I'm pleased to say, has said he will. I encouraged him to go because it seems to me that it's only when you're in the room that you can criticise what comes out of the room. So that is a really important piece. The ag visa was the Nationals' push. We were fighting hard for that. We got it on the table thanks to the UK FTA. That was a deal we made with Liberals that the ag visa would come into force. Vietnam was signed up, as you know, and there were other Asian countries signed up. Part of the process of the ag visa was that it was going to have a pathway to permanency, and it was for skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled workers. We need all of them, as we know. And, the recent changes that Mark Butler, Minister for Health, has made to distribution priority areas for doctors is incredibly concerning. It should concern every person who lives in a regional town where there are no GPs or they cannot get in to see a GP because there aren't enough. And in fact, today I am meeting with Rural Workforce Australia to talk about the distribution of GPs across Mallee and across regional Australia. Now that I'm the Assistant Shadow Minister for Regional Development, health is an incredibly crucial part of that mix. If we don't have doctors, if we don't have health staff, if we don't have hospitals that suit our need, we are not going to be enticing to any young family coming here.
For those that have been tracking that debate, I guess or those that haven't, basically what's happened, hasn't it, is the government has said, well, your zoning as a doctor where you have to work now regional includes basically peri-urban areas, and the Rural Doctors Association said, well, this is going to result in a drain of doctors out of the regions.
Even more, absolutely. It's a disaster. We now have doctors that would have been bonded graduates and international graduates would have in the past have been directed to regional areas where we have a very short supply of doctors. Now, Mark Butler, in all his wisdom, has opened it up to Frankston in Melbourne, Elizabeth in Adelaide, Parramatta in Sydney. This is a disaster waiting to happen because instead of those graduate doctors coming back into Australia once the immigration system speeds up and gets them here, then they will be going to those urban centres where they're more likely to meet their own diaspora and be supported by much larger, obviously, towns and what they bring to them. It's just not a good outcome at all.
Is there something that can be done about this? We're a long way for another federal election. Can it be opposed in Parliament, or can we just raise the attention that this needs some further looking at?
Oh, look, we absolutely are fighting it in Parliament. I've got a speech up on my Facebook page, and I hate to say this, but I was wearing yellow. So if anyone's looking at the Facebook page, there is a video there of me wearing yellow, and I am very strong about this issue because it's an appalling decision that will impact our regional centres.
Well, thanks, Anne. I know there's at least one person here at Flow who watches very closely what you are wearing. Thanks for joining us again on Flow.
Good on you. Thanks, Ricky.